Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Racz. I did that Midwest Outdoor article on crankbaits and some of the finer nuances, things that I've really never read or heard or seen anybody talk about regarding what to do with crankbaits. So we'll do a bonus lure logic crankbaits for today. So we're still got, I still am doing tip of the weeks for rods. But in essence, here's just a good kind of general assortment of baits and what I'm talking about, what they can do and so forth, and what they can do for you. So I'm just doing a nice whiteboard so you can see the colors of these and clearly make the distinctions. Each one's kind of unique and I'll go over them. I won't spend too much time on them, but I'd like to impart a little story about each one because I don't know, I consider myself a finesse fisherman, worm fisherman, spinning, but I mean I always have learned, you know, how to do a bait cast and things like that. So I guess I'll just start at the beginning with this crank right here, which is the for some reason in clear water this Fire Tiger would work. Usually I'd recommend a duller color, but Fire Tiger Shad Wrap, this one I don't remember what number it is. It's an older one too. Still made the same. Great lure for game fish in general. It's the cousin of the floating Rapala on the medium light Rapala video I did. I like this one because it casts a little better. It's a little easier to cast. It's a little fatter bodied. It's really the closest cousin to the original floating Rapala. It floats. It's a shallow diver. The best shallow diving crankbait I know of. I don't even know why I stopped fishing it. I need to start using them again. They're great. I used to cast that around Garcia, but it was the only crankbait my father ever caught a fish on. So that was his claim to fame. There's one crankbait fish, he remembers it to this day. That's a really good starter option, your Shad Wrap. It's what I grew up learning. Now this is like a blue chrome with like a holographic finish. I don't know, I think everyone throws a blue chrome. This kind of has the scale pattern in it, so I kind of deviate a little bit. So it's essentially a blue chrome pattern. And what this is a 1/2 ounce Bill Lewis rattle trap. I use this for, it just has a standard kind of mechanical side to side action though. That's the thing, you know. So it's a classic standard kind of mechanical action. Lots of rattles. If you don't know anything about the history of the bait, they wanted to weigh these with these weights, and what actually happened, what they did was they were loose in here and then they just tried it. So Bill Lewis, that's a true story. Pretty interesting. This is a Cabela's Gravedigger. I think this one weighs like 1/4 ounce, maybe 5/16. You can kind of see it's sort of bouncing off that blue chrome pattern that's with a little bit more of a sunfish finish in it. And I missed my biggest bass ever in a pond on this bad boy here. And again, it's just a standard. It's just going to offer you a standard wobble. You know, I even called it a dumb standard wobble, but I had a 6.5 foot Synchro Triumph, too stiff of a rod, and the bass shot it out. So I missed a 22 inch bass on that. Again, bargain lure, really inexpensive to fish. But if you look at the paint and the finish on it, it's pretty darn good for a store brand. I always like to put different price points and know what you're getting for the money on these, on all my tackle. Spro Shad, I've talked a lot about this. This was in my article for sure. You can see this has this nice fleck finish with the eye, the realistic looking eye, as opposed to, I don't know, kind of on the Cabela's, maybe not quite as real looking. But these lures, these three that I'm going to talk about, starting with the Uruku because it's the most important, talk about a story for each one. I was fishing November 1st, it was 70 degrees, and I hooked about 25 pounds worth of bass on this. Again, I was using too stiff of a rod, I was using a short St. Croix, and I lost some. But like I said, I wasn't really a crankbait expert. The only reason I got good at crankbaits was fishing them consistently. Like I said, because I don't know, maybe I'm more of a finesse fisherman, but I know as much about cranks and cranking as just about anybody out there, to be honest with you. And then again, with that red gill, that extra spot there, it's just a really good bait. The paint holds up extraordinarily well. Yamagatsu hooks, they'll stick to you. But the main thing about this bait is it just doesn't have your rattle trap. Like I said, it's just going to have that standard side to side. It's very effective. Matter of fact, a lot of times that's the only crank a lot of people will throw for a rattler, regarding a rattler. But what this does is it's so finely tuned and tapered. You can see, look at how the head is so much thicker in the way that tail tapers, as opposed to this is just like a diamond. That's why it kind of just has that standard. But what this thing actually does is, it's really amazing, is if you're fishing this thing, it will actually go and stay nose down if you kill it. And you can actually take it like this. You can actually jig it right off the bottom, or you can actually reel it. And when you kill the bait, when you stop cranking, it will spiral downward like that and not miss an action and stay nose down. And also, if you jerk it to the side, it'll turn. It has a totally true action. YouTube this thing and how it swims. It's really amazing. And I don't know, if I'm going to recommend a bait personally, that bait's I think about $8-9 now. If I'm going to recommend a bait personally, it had better be good, and that is really, really good. I don't really throw Lucky Crafts. I think that's a good price point for a lot of people right there. Spro Ruku Shad, 3/8 of an ounce. Throw it on any 6.5 foot medium light on 8-pound test spinning. It'll cast like a dream. So many people tell me these smaller crankbaits, they don't cast great on casting gear, unless you got like a medium light crankbait rod, which no one has. Use it on the spinning. Also catch my biggest crappies of the year overall on these things the past few years. So really amazing baits. This bad boy weighs 5/8 of an ounce. It's a discontinued Yo-Zuri. It's kind of a knocker, I think they called it. Hardcore. So this thing looks like a carp. Hooked a 22 inch bass. I lost it. So I actually lost 3 nice bass on these rods, because I didn't know. The thing about crankbait rods, and just a little note, is you need to know about glass, composite, and graphite. And I was pretty much just all beefed up on graphite. I didn't know much on the right rod. But again, it's kind of a cross in terms of body. It's kind of a cross between these two. It does have a big belly. It is kind of an extreme taper. But this also, it doesn't lay quite nose down when you kill it. But it also, if you're fishing it and you stop reeling, it kind of sways down. Whereas your rattle trap just kind of flutters, like it just kind of dies out. It just doesn't have much of an action. But this has a good action to it. Again, Yo-Zuri makes great stuff. You know, you've got your red eye, nice looking eye, nice paint job. But I mean, if you compare it to overall quality, the Cabela's one's pretty darn good too. That one seems to be the best. So then another Yo-Zuri, again discontinued. And if you're gonna buy crankbaits, you're gonna have to spend money. And my simple advice is, buy them on sale or buy them on clearance, and fall is a great time to buy clearance tackle. This is a shallow runner. It's a Yo-Zuri. Got to bump it at 1/4 ounce. I caught some nice 16 inch, 14 inch bass, cover fish in and around vegetation. But the main thing about this, again, it's a multi-action crankbait. The way this lip is, Yo-Zuri really does a good job. And you can see that paint finish on there. Very nice paint finish. Beautiful. Holographic. I think they call it like a 3D type of a pattern. Yeah, you can actually see inside the fin right there, in the rattles and everything. Flat crank, D-flat crank. Is you barely twitch this, and this thing will just a few inches below the surface will wobble just extremely tight. And if you crank it down deeper, it'll wobble more, and if you go down a little deeper than that to maximum depth, it'll really flutter. But I mean, it's a deadly twitcher for if you like crankbaits. I'm more of a plastic, I go for the bigger bass with the plastics, but I mean the Yo-Zuri crankbaits are extremely fine-tuned. So I didn't do a Lucky Craft. I never caught a bass on a Lucky Craft. Leave some Lucky Craft feedback if you have any. But crankbait rods are different. You know, on the lighter ones, I just say 3/8 ounce under, spinning. 1/2 ounce over, bait casting, and that will really simplify it. I've told people that for years, ever since I started getting my crankbait, beefing up my crankbait game, and everyone's told me that it simplifies things. Simplifies things. You're not dealing with backlashes when you're fishing, and you're catching more fish. So just to recap it real quick, you got your shad wrap. It's a classic. It works for all game fish: smallmouth, walleye, pike. I use mine for largemouth. Rattle trap. You know. Like I said, I don't know why I stopped fishing these. I should go back to these. I would never be without that. I would never be without that. Or a Yo-Zuri. But again, this just one of these old school, inexpensive. I think this was $3.99 regular price crankbaits. I missed my biggest bass on like the least expensive one of these options. So the thing about fishing cranks is this: bass don't get acclimated to plastic as quickly as they do hard baits. And your time frame for hard bait effectiveness is more narrow. So I mean, when they're on a rattling bite, it could be like 2 hours. You know, actually, I got a video of a 20-inch crankbait bass I caught on this thing. I never even did any video. A friend of mine gave me the video, and I just posted a 20-inch crankbait bass with some music. But they make this in different colors. I've caught fish on almost on every one except the red craw. But I mean, my go-to is this one here, and like I said, I've hardly fished the others. I've got lots of crankbaits. I've got crankbaits that are 7 years old sitting there. I've never fished because I catch so many bass on these or the Yo-Zuri or something like this. But that pretty much, I mean, there's lots of crankbaits. I could talk for hours and hours and hours on them. But like I said, I've been fishing them since about 2010, and that's when I tried this, and I hadn't fished a rattler in a long time, 25 pounds worth of bass, so I know that works. I've said that more than once, but I guess the main thing is, you know, you got to work a lot of different cranks to find out which ones work, which ones you're comfortable with, and you know, like I said, 1/2 ounce casting, 3/8 ounce lighter spinning. And you know, again, most of these are like this one you can do different things action-wise with. This one's pretty standard, but then again, you know, make sure you experiment and find out what you can do with them. Like if they have multi-actions, that was kind of the point of my article. Like if you're going to start fishing, pay attention to these multi-action type of crankbaits here. Don't ignore the classics. And you know, sometimes just a kind of crazy fat-bodied one, these are not known for catching big bass, believe it or not. Real fat-bodied crankbaits, as far as I know. I know someone could disagree, but at any rate, if you like this kind of stuff, this is Lure Logic Crankbaits. It's a bonus tip of the day. So we'll wrap it up. We're going near 12 minutes. So the tip of the day is look for a multi-action crankbait if you can. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I think I have picked up 7 new subscribers the past 7 weeks. I don't know if you came here from the Midwest Outdoors article. Thank you for subscribing, for watching, for viewing. I really do appreciate it. The more views I get, the more motivation I have to keep doing this stuff. And I think I've looked at my analytics, and I'm only seeing one chick that watches these videos, so I may know who it is, and I haven't seen her in a while, but I know she hasn't stopped fishing. So take care, everyone. Fall fishing crankbait season is right around the corner. It's burning hot, like in the Chicago area, like 90 degrees during the day now. So take care, everyone, and give these a try when the weather gets cooler. Thank you.